I'm going to present from here.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh, I won't have a table or something to put my goodies on.
Oh, you brought items?
Yeah, books, and I want to give an example.
Okay. Hey, Jason. Books and what else? Just books?
I have a 200-year-old pipe stem, and read. All of that is significant to my message.
Are you going? Yeah. Our director's going to come out here and we'll go figure it out. Are you going to present throughout the whole show, or are you going to do it all in one segment?
No, I'm going to talk about the book and what's in the book, how it came to be.
What we might do is move that table over here and set everything up.
Yeah.
Take a camera, and as you're talking about it.
Yeah, I really need a table.
Is anything fragile?
Hmm?
Is anything fragile?
No, you know, like breakable?
Yeah.
No.
So you want me to just show this like this?
Yeah, I'm going to show that. And that 200-year-old pipe stem in there. And a corn cob. I'm going to illustrate how you use how they used to make pipes out of corn cobs. And
do you need to be around it to like point at it, or can we just leave it over here and take a shot of it?
I would have thought that there'd be a table down in front, or Dr. Haney and I would be sitting at a table, but whatever way you work it out.
I wonder if Dr. Haney wants, we can move that over.
He used to have a table and sort of a studio with a couch and everything. Things have changed, haven't they?
Oh yeah. Yeah, that was 4 years ago we made this transition.
Oh, so what do you do now?
We
You just sit here and talk?
Yeah, we're just strictly news now. Where we used to be the more of the entertainment kind of programming, now we're just news. So we have to make the adjustments when this type of stuff comes in. I'll talk to Dr. Haney, and because he may only need one segment, so we can just bring that over here and move the chairs out.
Dr. Haney? Oh, we're doing all right today?
Yes, sir. She has some stuff here that she wants to show.
I brought my artifacts along. I thought we would be sitting at a couch in front of a coffee table or something.
If you want, I know in that first segment you just like to get her background information and all that stuff, so you can do that. And then in the second segment, if you want, we can bring the table over. And then you can have that whole second segment, or the third, whatever segment you want. We'll bring it over so you guys can
talk about
that stuff.
Okay, well let's.
You let me know what you want here.
What do you want, Dr. Young?
These artifacts I have are significant to the contents and the history of this work. So if there was a table or something on which I could display these or reach over and get them and show them up.
Do we have a table in anything?
It would be that right there.
Oh, that okay. Yeah. Well,
and like I said, we can move that table. We have a certain spot for it here.
Okay.
So if you want to go with your first segment as normal,
okay.
You're sitting here.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll go to commercial break, and then when you come back, the table will already be here.
Okay.
And then you guys can go on and talk about.
Okay. Very good. That's what we'll do. We'll do background, that kind of information for that first 6-minute segment, and then after that we'll have them to bring the table out.
Okay.
And then we'll start that second 8 minutes with that as a prop.
Okay.
And what you'll be able to reach over and touch some of the things, or what? How do?
Yes, if they're in a close by.
Yeah, we'll bring. Oh yeah. We'll actually move the chairs out and everything. I guess the real question is, do you want that in the second segment or the third segment? The last segment.
I think it might be best to have it in the last segment. Because after the last segment, we'll be through.
It gives you more time to go through that stuff in the last segment.
Yeah, that 10-minute, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we'll do it the last
Okay.
segment. Yeah,
No problem.
And so what we'll do, we'll have that first 6 minutes of the show.
Okay, what are you going to do in the first 6 minutes?
Background, education, about you.
Uh-huh.
Background, education, experience.
Uh-huh.
You see, you tell me who you are, you were born, whenever, and etc. You got 6 minutes.
Okay.
And that'll give you an opportunity to talk about whatever for 6 minutes.
Right.
You see, and then we'll have our first commercial break. And then we'll have a break for 2 minutes, then we'll come back to you again for 2 minutes. I mean, for 8 minutes, an 8-minute segment, talking about just
the book and how we put it together.
That's right. And then the last 10 minutes, we'll have the table out. And that'll give you an opportunity to reach out and touch some of the artifacts and etc. How does that sound?
That'll work.
There's nothing awkward about it, is there?
Well, I go with the flow.
Well, the flow might be better.
But that's separating the artifacts from the discussion of the book.
Well, you want to separate the artifacts from the discussion?
No, I don't.
Oh, well, when do you think we ought to bring it out then?
Right after the.
After the first segment? Okay. Well,
and I tell why I wrote the book and how I wrote it and why it's significant.
So we'll get into a discussion of the book.
Right.
During that second segment. But the first segment will be background, education, experience about you and whatever.
Okay.
All right? And then when we come back during that second segment, we'll start talking about the book, 30, I think it's 30 years of bondage.
No, Many Roads Travel.
Many Roads Travel.
And see, here's what is significant. This is why early on I wanted to get into. I've written so many books. I've written 14. This is what we're talking about.
Okay. Is that the book you want to talk about?
This one here.
Okay.
Many Roads Travel.
Many Roads Travel, okay.
Okay. Now the cover of this book, the cover of this book enunciates the essence of the whole book. Well, you see here, Many Roads Travel. From the rugged paths in Africa and the riding on a oxen to the mid-passage of the slave ship to the coffle, and see, I can pull in some words of coffle.
Okay. Well, let's get it set up first.
Yeah.
Let's get it set up. We'll do that first and second segment. And let's do we're going to have to do this on the last segment.
Okay.
Because that'll give us the time. And so the first 2 segments, we'll deal with your background, education, and experience. Okay. Okay. And then African Americans. That second segment, African Americans and slavery.
I don't want to use that, of course.
You don't want to use that. Well,
Because there's a mentality that that slavery is unique to ethnicity, and it's not. Every group has been enslaved.
Well, well, let's just talk about slavery, the Many Roads Travel, however you want to do it.
Let me give you the significance. You see this?
Yes, ma'am.
This is an item that's older than America. That is a pipe stem, which was once a reed like this. It belonged to this woman, grandfather.
Do what?
Okay?
This thing.
Okay.
The story of the road that she and her forebears traveled from the shores of Africa to Marshall County, Tennessee, where she is buried.
Okay.
Makes for a provocative story.
Okay, you're going to tell that story?
Yes.
Okay, well, good. Okay, well, let's just get up here and we'll tell the story. And then the last part, the last 10 minutes, Okay. Last 10 minutes, we're going to roll out the display.
Okay. We'll bring it over, set it up, and
a coin toss along with a reed.
Okay.
One of the means of making pipes among poor people. And this pipe stem dates from 1755.
Okay.
And it's this woman's grandmother.
Okay.
Grandfather.
Let's get started.
It's rich in history.
Dr. Young.
Yeah. Okay.
Let's get started, and by having you to have a seat here, and what we want to talk about first is about Dr. Morton-Young. Okay. And you tell us about your background, your education, and your experience with that, and we'll both relate to that.
Oh, I have lost my number. Oh, I'm I jumped up and disrupted that.
You're fine. And that should be fine.
Okay.
Okay, now. Okay, so Dr. Morton-Young, what we'll do, Tommy Morton-Young, all right? What we'll do, Dr. Young, is to Morton-Young. That's the way you want to do the last.
Dr. Morton-Young.
Yeah. Okay, Dr. Morton-Young. That's the way we'll do that. What we'd like to do, Dr. Morton-Young, is to do the first 6 minutes, dealing with your background, education, and experiences. That's 6 minutes. You got 6 minutes to talk about that. And all I'll do is let's talk about your background, your education, and your experience. Then you start. My name is Dr. Tommy Morton-Young. I was born. And then for the next 6 minutes, tell me something about yourself, okay? And then we'll call an end to that part. Then we'll have 8 minutes for that second part, and we'll talk about the book. This is where you want to introduce the book. You're about born 20 years in bondage.
Yes.
Okay, you talk about that. Okay, that'll be 8 minutes.
Yes.
And then we'll end that, and then we'll bring out the display. And then you talk about the display. How does that sound?
Okay.
Okay, very good. Okay. Okay, anytime we're ready now. See, I've got...
Mic check, man.
Okay.
Say your name and count to 10, so we can make sure you can hear Mike.
Mike check.
What about it?
Check your mic.
Oh.
Just count to 10 for me.
No, you don't have to bother. Just hold it down.
You just got to say your name and count to 10.
Oh, my name.
Yeah, you don't
I'm
have to pay
Dr.
attention to the mic.
Tommy Morton-Young.
Yeah, just
And
put...
just count to 10.
Just, now,
She good.
now.
Okay.
You're good.
Thank you and welcome to the show today. The topic today has to do with Dr. Tommy Morton-Young, who has quite a bit of information in reference to the institution of slavery and has published 14 or 15 different books dealing with the African-American experience in the United States. And so what we'd like to do today, Dr. Young, is to have you to give us some information about your background, your education, and some of your experiences, and we will do this for about 6 minutes, and then we'll have our first commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll deal with the book, with your book, one of your many books, and then after that 8-minute segment, we'll come back and we'll deal with some of the displays and some of the artifacts that you have dated back to the institution of slavery, and then we'll have an opportunity to deal with those artifacts and that display for the last 10 minutes of the show, and then we'll be able to end this show for today. Let's start off by having you to talk about Tommy Morton-Young before she became Dr. Tommy Morton-Young. Let's do it from that perspective, Dr. Young.
Well, I am Tommy Morton-Young. I was born and reared in Nashville, in North Nashville, in fact. I am a product of the public schools. Received my Bachelor's of Arts degree cum laude from Tennessee State University. I was picked by the Southern Education Foundation and some of my former professors at Tennessee State to integrate Peabody. Peabody College, long before it became a part of Vanderbilt. I was the first African American to graduate from Peabody College with a Master's of Arts. I later went on to Duke University because I was in North Carolina at the University of North Carolina system teaching and as an administrator, and received a PhD from Duke University. I am listed on the North Carolina literary map, although I am a Tennessean, but my roots go back to North Carolina. Not only do my roots go back to North Carolina, but I have traced them across the ocean to the Ewe tribe of southern Ghana. I am a genealogist, and the last time I had the pleasure of being on your program, we talked about the African American, Tennessee African American Genealogical and Historical Society. And so my writings, majority of them are in history and genealogy. And the work that I'd like to share with you today is genealogical. It is Southern history. It is African history. And it's about the experience of a woman from whose parents came from Africa. She was born here. But as I say, I am a genealogist. I do research and have, I guess, since the 1970s, and decided to write this particular book about my great-grandmother, in fact.
And so what we'll do, Dr. Young, is to devote some time to this particular book during our second segment of this show. But now, this is not the only book that you've written. I'm sure of that because I know of some of the earlier books. But why don't you, during the last minute and a half, mention some of the other books that you've written so that we might be able to get that information onto tape for today?
Yes. One of the books that I have written, which has also been published in India. That's interesting to me. But it's called Nashville, Tennessee. It's in the Black America series, over 200 photographs and legends and descriptions. I wrote another book about Nashville called Sable Scenes, true life stories of life and living in a southern town, Nashville. I have written books with interest for women, including Fabulous You, Claiming and Celebrating the Fabulous Self, Mind, Body, and Spirit. I also have a book that I wrote growing out of my psychology background, and it's called After School Programs for At-Risk Youth and Their Families. And of course several others which I won't.
Okay, and so what we'll do, Dr. Young, we'll take this first commercial break, and then we'll come back and we'll have an opportunity to talk about one of the books that you've written, and we'll have about 8 minutes to deal with that. And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break. This segment, this segment that's coming up is with the book.
So, do you want the books to pick up and show? Because
yes, I can pick the book up and hold it.
Hey, I won't bring this little
here. Yeah. And so what he's going to do is make a display so that we can put your book on display, and you don't have to hold it. You can talk about it there.
Good.
Yeah, that's good, Phil.
Yeah, and I have a little stand that I can put the book on. I came prepared.
Well, what?
Let's see, I believe, yeah, that's it. Oh, he has a stand. Good. Excellent.
Is this the only one you need?
That's the only one we got.
Okay, all right.
Okay, and so what they'll do, they'll get a shot of that, and then while we're talking, they'll be able to project it on the screen,
Right.
so we don't have to worry about that. You don't have to hold it or anything,
Okay.
and it'll be shown.
There's a photograph of, yes, that if you could show,
This?
yeah. Yeah, that's her story.
Okay, very good. Okay, that's good. Now we've got the displays and everything that's necessary for our discussion of the
No,
book.
I don't have that 200-year-old pipe stem, and this is part of American history too.
I know, but I think that we're going to do that on the last. We're going to we're going to put everything on the last segment. We wanted to put this book up, since this is what you want to talk about now. The roads,
Many
roads travel. You see, and so thank you and welcome back to the second segment of the show for today. We're talking to Dr. TMorton-Young, and she's giving us some information relative to her ancestors and some of the things that were important in terms of the African experience in the United States. And I think, Dr. Young, you would like to say something about the book that you have recently published called Many Roads Travel. I think that we have a display in reference to that. Why don't you talk about that book and some of the things that you feel that are associated with that?
Yes. Many Roads Travel, or 20 Years in Bondage, was inspired, the writing was inspired by the woman in that old tin-type photograph, and by the pipe stem that she had, which somehow remained in the family for over 200 years. That pipe stem is older than America. It belonged to this woman's grandfather. In the 1970s, when I became very much submerged into genealogy, I did research in North Carolina, where this woman, we first find her. And that journey took me to the shores of Africa. The book is historical fiction, which means it is a creative reconstruction of events, people, and places. And so in the creative reconstruction, we visit the shore of Africa where two children are playing on the coast, and they see this, what they think is a mirage in the distance, this big, gray, white-looking thing. But it is not. It is a slave ship. And they are free and happy and carefree and romping in the sand. And they end up on that ship being captured. This story takes the reader across the Pacific Ocean and onto that ship where, according to the Kirkus Book Review, the whole book is filled with hard truths and is a heartfelt read. I don't think you could find a writing that would be more intense and informative than this 6 weeks trip that this young woman endured. On to Baltimore, on to Norfolk, and finally to North Carolina, to the Piedmont. And there, the little town of Lincolnton, North Carolina, a free black community was established. And this young girl becomes a woman, and she is married, and she and her husband Jake reproduced this Pleasant Lane. So this is a story of Pleasant, her forebears as they travel across the ocean, the many roads leading to North Carolina, and her kidnapping. She was a free girl on her way to take that pipe stem to the Lane's tobacco shop. And that's a rich history there. See, many people do not know, even people in North Carolina, that a man by the name of Lunsford Lane, which was one of her relatives, developed a flavored tobacco. He was called a tobacconist. He was free in the little town. And he took his recipe for flavored tobacco to the biggest tobacco producer in North Carolina then and now. And they, Lunsford Lane presented this recipe to this man and said, I know, you know, you're powerful, you have all I ask is just to give me just a little, a fair percentage. So I'm not asking much, just a fair. So the man told him, well, I'll get back to you, I'll get back. Well, he did get back to him, but not directly. He got back to him early one morning when night riders arrived. They feathered and tarred him and left him beside the railroad. And he was rescued and sent on to Canada. I have the book with the man's story. I have followed the genealogy and the connection between Pleasant Lane here and Lunsford Lane, using the naming patterns that enabled me to follow the family and also to go all the way back to the African experience. What went on the two plantations, Wakefield and North Carolina, and the somewhat imaginary Lanza Lake plantation in Tennessee, would make for hair standing on, raising the hair on your head. Because as I said, Kirker's book review says there are some hard truths that the characters are very carefully researched and presented. We learned, I mean, the book presents new words, well, less familiar words that the reader can gain a deeper insight into the dynamics of the trade, of the a peculiar institution, a man by the name historian, you're familiar with
Stamp,
him? Yes, who called it the peculiar institution of this peculiar institution, right.
Okay, and so we've got about a minute, Dr. Young, before we end this segment today, but basically you've already got all of this information in this book, and for a person to know about this information, how can, over the last half minute we have, how could a person get a copy of this book?
Well, copies are available at Keebelon on Jefferson Street, at Barnes and Nobles, and also from Afrigen, which is my publishing company. So they're available around.
Okay, and so what we're going to do, Dr. Young, is to take a second commercial break, and then we're going to have a chance to come back and look at some of the displays and some of the artifacts that you have related to this individual that we're talking about now. And we'll be back with our audience following this very, very short commercial break.